here is Lewis Hamilton once again darting to the outside. Freddie keeping a tight line but runs a little bit wide into turn 1 and into turn 2. Hamilton on the inside. Not every single car will be going into the pit lane, so the order will be slightly mixed up. Going up the inside of the Swedish driver here, he actually makes contact with Ericsson. They both run wide and Freddie takes full advantage of that. Vettel going in a bit too hot, forcing Marcus Ericsson out wide, and he actually crashed into Verstappen. Gasly is just an innocent bystander in this incident. Kvyat just driving straight to the side of him, nothing Gasly could have done. So could it be a repeat of the Bahrain Grand Prix in these last few laps? It does seem as if it's shaping up to be that way. Can he perhaps pull a cutback here in the closing stage, which he just about has done? He's on the right hand side, he's going to be on the outside for the final quarter. Freddie gets tagged and he's round and into the wall. The two Mercedes and Freddie Gray have crashed here in the Chinese Grand Prix, and the very, very last. Unbelievable scenes, the craziest ending ever. So welcome back guys to episode number 4 of the Freddie Gray career mode, season number 4, the 2017 season, and my word, what huge drama we had at the back end of the last race. The two Mercedes and Freddie coming together at the end of one of their titanic battles, just absolutely crazy scenes, incredible scenes, huge drama post-race as well, each individual driver blaming each other for that incident, and it really did kick off. But Freddie has just gone back home, kind of tried to get away from all the drama, and is just prepared as usual for the Russian Grand Prix, which is coming up this weekend. And after that, there is quite a big break from Russia into the European season as we approach the Spanish Grand Prix. But Freddie, as always, has just been sort of driving around, meeting up with a few friends, just relaxing and also ensuring that he is in the correct shape for the Grand Prix in Sochi. But yes, speaking of that Grand Prix in Sochi, Freddie's just about to fly out now. He's flying out at the moment as he now lands for the start of the Russian Grand Prix weekend. Let's get into qualifying. Qualifying on the shore of the Red Sea in Sochi was always a very challenging session, and it's also the home of plenty of on-track drama in previous seasons. Difficult is an understatement when describing Daniel Ricciardo's start to the season, but the highest point thus far was seen in pole in Russia, with teammate Verstappen following through in second, stamping their authority on the rest of the field. Lance Stroll has very much been in Freddie Gray's shadow so far, but a blistering qualifying lap saw the young Canadian storm his way into third ahead of the usual suspects in the form of the Mercedes and Ferrari cars. Freddie Gray, on the other hand, was apoplectic, describing his car as a boat in a post-qualifying interview as he expressed his frustration at having to settle for 8th on the grid. The ever-solid Fernando Alonso and Sergio Perez rounded out the top 10. A small improvement was clear by the Toro Rosso boys, as Kvyat and Sainz were less than 1/10 away from the shootout, leaving the pair in a confident mood heading into tomorrow's race. Jolyon Palmer and Kevin Magnussen exited qualifying at the first attempt, with both Manor-Mercedes out-qualifying Ericsson and Wehrlein in the Alfa Romeo cars, who were still struggling for pace. Red Bull's upturn in fortune surprised team principal Christian Horner, but as ever, he stated that they must convert their strong qualifying form into a solid race result. Lance Stroll was ecstatic with his lap, but like Red Bull, the rookie wasn't getting ahead of himself and had both eyes firmly on the race. There was nothing to separate the two Ferraris, as championship leader Bottas' difficult weekend continued. Freddie Gray had seemingly let the frustrations of Shanghai follow him to Sochi, as the reigning champion was adamant that this was just a small blip. Freddie's ex-teammate Alonso secured yet another Q3 place, making that 4 out of 4 for the season, as Sergio Perez edged in at the expense of Danny Kvyat, who was hoping to score his second set of Formula 1 points at his home race. So Freddie starting 8th on the grid today for the Russian Grand Prix here at Sochi. He very much seems a very, very angry, moody figure in the paddock at the moment. Obviously, the ghosts are sort of still haunting him almost from Shanghai. That accident between himself and the two Mercedes cars seemingly still getting to him at this stage, and he just has not been on it all weekend. He's hoping for better in the race, but the qualifying form does suggest that it will be a very difficult race.
Right then, Freddie, let's not allow qualifying to affect our confidence today. You've got this, mate.
as ever, just words of motivation, words of morale from the engineer. Hopefully it's just a small blip for Freddie in qualifying. He can pull something together in the race today, as it is only a one-stop tyre. We're very, very low around China. Contrast to China as we are underway now for the start of the Russian Grand Prix. Valtteri Bottas storming ahead into P6 already. Romain Grosjean getting off to a poor start as well. As in front, there's a huge crash between the top three, but the two rebels were definitely involved, as well as our teammate Lance Stroll, I think, as well. An absolutely huge accident there. We need to take a look at some replays, but Freddie did pull off an illegal overtaking manoeuvre on Romain Grosjean. He is up into P5, Lance Stroll behind him P6, so maybe it wasn't him that was involved in the accident, but we're going to have to take a look in a second. A huge accident there. Drama already in the early stages of the Russian Grand Prix. Now on board with Lance Stroll, he gets a very decent start in comparison to Daniel Ricciardo. He goes in the middle of the two rebels, and Verstappen almost turns in, and a huge impact there. Ricciardo actually doing a barrel roll, and Stroll almost going along, strolling along, no pun intended, like nothing even happened there. And here is Verstappen on the inside, gets caught in Lance Stroll, and wow, look at Daniel Ricciardo, the pole sitter. Its miserable season just continues. He had one positive yesterday in qualifying, sealing that pole position, but wow, Daniel Ricciardo already, his world has literally been turned upside down. Absolutely incredible. My goodness me. Wow, that is just honestly so unlucky, and more misery, as I mentioned, for Red Bull Racing. They just cannot get any luck at the moment. No rub of the green for them. And already you can see our teammate Lance Stroll, Freddie's teammate Lance Stroll, I must add, is in the pit lane. Obviously he got some damage from that incident, a little bit of front wing damage, and I guess that will be his only pit stop of the race. Now into lap 5, Freddie at the moment was keeping in touch with the two Ferraris and Valtteri Bottas, who were battling it out, but ultimately he couldn't really get close enough in order to challenge those guys, which is a real shame. And it does seem that Freddie doesn't really have the pace at the Russian Grand Prix this weekend, as confirmed in qualifying and in the early stages of this race. And he's in fact under pressure from the charging Sergio Perez. Stoffel Vandoorne, you saw a message confirming that the Belgian was out of the race. A very strong start to the season for Vandoorne, but here is one low point, actually going out of the race, and obviously a poor qualifying for him yesterday in P14. Freddie setting his personal best lap of the race, a 1 minute 41.6 on lap number 6 of the Grand Prix here in Sochi. He's under pressure now from Sergio Perez, who might sweep to the inside here as they now approach turn 1. Bearing down on Freddie, diving up the inside. Can Freddie defend the position? He's almost being forced out by Perez, but actually Perez almost backs off and allows Freddie back through. So Perez perhaps should have been a little bit more aggressive there, a bit more brutal with Freddie, try and show him who's boss and more superior at this point in the Grand Prix. But yeah, right now, in this stage, the tyre was very much kicking in, and it was a real struggle for Freddie. He just didn't understand what it was, and he was under all sorts of, danger from Sergio Perez, who was posing a real threat behind the Force India. He is absolutely storming, really on it this weekend. And now on to the very next lap. Perez pulling alongside Freddie and actually tapping him off the track, and makes the move stick. That's a very interesting overtake there, to say the very least. Sergio, too aggressive there, I would say, barging Freddie out of the way. Perhaps a penalty is deserved there for the Mexican in the Force India. Freddie at the moment just doesn't look at the Force India going through this sweeping left-hander so much faster, just has the downforce and seemingly has the car this weekend. And Jordan King is now out of the race as well. But you can see Perez, absolutely no attempt there to give Freddie any space. How he has not got a penalty, I assume he hasn't got a penalty anyway, is beyond me, to be honest. And here is why Jordan King retires in the Manor-Mercedes, actually lining up a move on the Alfa Romeo of Marcus Ericsson. Both Alfa Romeos getting ahead of the Manors at the start, but unfortunately the Manor-Mercedes here, the British driver Jordan King, is out of the race, almost actually driving straight across into his teammate Pierre Gasly. Once again, Jordan King having Pierre Gasly in his back pocket, but not at the moment, as he retires with an engine failure. The Mercedes blowing out there in the back of that Manor. Now, end of lap 8, beginning of lap 9, Sergio Perez is into the pit lane for his first stop of the day. I do assume that all the cars are doing one stops because of the low tyre wear around this track, but I think more than anything, I don't think it's necessarily the tyre wear that's affecting Freddie. It's just the fact he doesn't have the car on him at the moment to really be challenging the top guys. So this might be a very unfortunate race result today. That's certainly what it's looking like, but obviously surprises can happen. More final lap drama could occur, like it has done so many times this season, so don't count anything out until the very death. Freddie is now coming in for his one and only pit stop of the day on to the soft tyres. It's difficult to point out at this point who Freddie will be battling for the remainder of this Russian Grand Prix, because there is Sergio Perez on the right-hand side, well ahead of Freddie at the moment. He's currently in P13, going to rejoin ahead of the Alfa Romeo car of Pascal Wehrlein, but obviously Wehrlein is yet to pit the young German, obviously in his new team this season. So at this point in the race, Freddie was very much on his own. It was a very quiet phase of the Grand Prix, this middle stint. Not really much action going on, just with cars pitting in. Those are the only real highlights, and Freddie setting his personal best lap of the race, a 1 minute 40.3. More cars coming in, and actually Valtteri Bottas actually emerging out behind Sergio Perez, interestingly. So with Perez holding up Bottas, that could allow Freddie an opportunity to close in and challenge those guys. But unfortunately, it was just a real struggle today. And even onto lap 17, skipping 5 laps ahead, Esteban Ocon, who started on the soft tyres, pitting on to a set of super soft tyres. So he could perhaps become a challenger to the end of the race on lap 18. And now we skip all the way onto lap 21. Still not much happening, but there is cars closing in behind.
Kvyat, Ocon and Lance are all 2 seconds away, mate.
So there are 3 cars behind that are 2 seconds away. Danny Kvyat, Esteban Ocon, who has just pitted onto the super soft tyres, and also Lance Stroll as well, who had the accident at the start, has not pitted yet. Well, he pitted on lap 1, but he hasn't pitted since then. And I don't think he's due to pit anymore because he has fitted on a set of medium tyres. But this really does prove how much of a struggle it has been this weekend for Freddie. I think he just has to almost let this one go. Just accept that it's not going to go his way this weekend. But what he does have to watch out for now is the pressure being mounted up behind by Esteban Ocon and Danny Kvyat at his home race. Both very much determined to get strong results today. Ocon on the super soft tyres, ever charging, really closing him down, and Kvyat at his home race, wanting to impress the home crowd here in Sochi. Ocon did make the move there on Danny Kvyat, a nice tidy move up the inside of the Russian there. Now the Frenchman is right on the back of Freddie, the Force India and also the Toro Rosso car as well. Freddie's just going to have to keep an eye out, watch his mirrors. I think it's almost inevitable with Esteban Ocon at least that he will get past, because Force India have just been absolutely electric today. Sergio Perez up in 5th place, and Ocon looks like he's about to take 6th place off Freddie, unless Freddie can really defend the position here. He's going to the inside line, blocking the inside, making Ocon going round the tighter outside, which he might just force him out wide, which he can't quite do, Freddie, and Ocon's still alongside, but I think through the sweeping left-hander, Freddie just doesn't quite have the downforce, and he's having almost to concede to Esteban Ocon, and maybe even Danny Kvyat as well, unless Freddie can dive it back up the inside of the next corner, which he has done. That's the sort of fight commitment that Freddie really does have to show when he's not getting the rub of the green like this weekend in Sochi. Esteban Ocon now is going to shoot off into the distance, and Freddie's having to absorb pressure from Danny Kvyat at his home race. Now into turn 11, now into turn 12, Freddie might perform a bit of a cutback here, but it's not quite working out. Kvyat is really on it right now. He really wants to impress that home crowd, but Freddie's not going to give up without a serious fight. Here is Freddie now. He's closing right up to the Russian here. He might even dive it up the inside of turn number 15 here, which he does very aggressive, but he's just about pulled off the move, and I doubt the home crowd really like that. But brilliant stuff from Freddie there, continuing to show, his brilliant overtaking maneuvers, even on a day where it's not going his way completely. But now onto lap 26, the penultimate lap. Here is Kvyat and also Lance Stroll as well, currently challenging Freddie into turn number 1. Lance Stroll on the outside, Kvyat just about takes that position, and don't forget also Carlos Sainz behind as well. Carlos Sainz again having a very difficult start to the season, but he must be more determined than ever after an engine failure in China, which pretty much cost him with a podium actually. So scoring points this weekend is a must for the young Toro Rosso driver here. Lance Stroll going for a move on Danny Kvyat, also darting to the outside of Freddie Gray. Freddie Gray holding the inside line into turn number 11. Now into turn number 12, Kvyat is still pressurising very much at the moment. The tyre wear is seriously creeping up, and Freddie is well under pressure now from the 2 Toro Rossos and his teammate Lance Stroll. Ideally, what the Williams team would want at this point is for Freddie to allow, sort of almost back Kvyat into Lance Stroll, and perhaps even allow Lance Stroll ahead of himself, Freddie. That could also help the team and also improve the relationship with the team as well, which obviously the relationship's not bad at the moment, but it would just improve that, just show that Freddie's a bit of a team player, that he does have a bit of sportsmanship within him as well, which he has perhaps lacked, you could argue, throughout the seasons. But now Kvyat on the final lap of the race, the Russian here is going up the inside of turn number 1. There are the home fans on the left hand side watching Kvyat, cheering him on, but he backs off a bit too easily, like a lot of the cars have done. A lot of the drivers have done that out of turn 1, and they've allowed Freddie to almost take that position. They've conceded perhaps a potential position far too easily, but later on in the lap, the sheer momentum is with the guys behind at the moment. It's into turn number 6. Kvyat is making a move up the inside, a very ambitious banzai manoeuvre there, opportunistic to say the very least, but he hasn't quite pulled it off, or has he? He's on the inside of turn 7 as Freddie tried to cut back and regain that position. Will Freddie get DRS for the next straight? He will do, up the inside of turn 8. He actually gains that position, which is going to help him out an absolute treat, and he's pulled out a gap behind to Kvyat and Lance Stroll. Kvyat is going to be absolutely swamped here as he doesn't even have the DRS, and Lance Stroll, Freddie's teammate, is making a move up into 8th position here at the Russian Grand Prix. Freddie actually runs a bit wide. Lance Stroll is on his outside. Could Lance Stroll gain 2 positions in a matter of corners here? Here is Stroll going to go round the outside of turn number 13. He actually gets forced out wide by Freddie, and actually Carlos Sainz, out of absolutely nowhere, has just taken the 2 positions from Lance Stroll and also his teammate Danny Kvyat. Here is on board with Lance Stroll here, getting forced out by Freddie. Perhaps a little unsportsmanlike from Freddie there. Perhaps a little bit of a talking to is needed by Williams at the end, costing his teammate and obviously the team ultimately of more points. But here is Carlos Sainz staying patient in the build-up to these overtaking manoeuvres, not going in hot, not going in aggressive, just staying cautious and just taking his opportunities when they arise, like with Kvyat and then like with Lance Stroll here, going around the outside of the Canadian there, and he's gained 8 points, well sorry, not 8 points, he gained 8 position, and that is 4 points for the Spaniard there, and Freddie comes home in a disappointing 7th, but maintaining the positions.
Tough one to take, Freddie, but we're confident this is just a small blip. Let's come back strong in Europe.
So I very much agree there with the engineer. Hopefully the Russian Grand Prix today was just a small blip in what will be a very successful season for Freddie and the Williams F1 team. So viewing the race result, it was Lewis Hamilton with a dominant victory today, beating Sebastian Vettel by 20.4 seconds. Valtteri Bottas a further 2 seconds back, gaining on Perez and Grosjean in the end. Force India with another very, very strong race weekend, gaining 18 points today through Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon, continuing to go from strength to strength. Freddie Gray coming home in 7th, with Carlos Sainz sealing 8th at the very last, of Lance Stroll in 9th, with Danny Kvyat losing 2 positions on the final lap in his home Grand Prix, with Kevin Magnussen in 11th, only just missing out on points. He scored points in Bahrain and China. It's been a very poor season in terms of qualifying for Kevin Magnussen, but the Dane is very much pulling things together in the race itself, where it matters most, and he's yet again beat his teammate Giovinazzi. So now viewing the 2017 Drivers' Championship, after 4 races so far this season, it is still Valtteri Bottas leading the way on a total of 65 points. Only 10 points in fact separating the top 3. Lewis Hamilton now not far behind, gaining 2 positions in that championship today thanks to his race victory. A very dominant performance today, real words of intent from Lewis Hamilton. He is probably back to his best now. That will give him a huge confidence boost heading into the next race in Spain and the European part of the season. Sebastian Vettel in 3rd with 55 points. Freddie Gray back in 4th with a total of 46 points. In fact, only 19 points behind championship leader Bottas. So obviously at this early stage you can't be focusing too much on the Drivers' Championship. But I suppose it is shaping up to be a battle between Freddie and the 2 Mercedes. Sebastian Vettel's a bit of an outsider. Freddie hasn't had too many battles with Vettel so far this season, obviously his ex-teammate at Ferrari, but it's certainly shaping up to be that way over the course of the season. Grosjean back in 5th with Van Dorn in 6th. Alonso still in 8th. Both McLarens didn't score any points today. Van Dorn retiring with an engine problem, and Alonso just not really getting things together in the race where it mattered. Verstappen actually did carry on after his crazy opening lap crash actually in the first few seconds of the Grand Prix. Verstappen actually nursing so much damage, just couldn't make any progress and finished low down in the race order, still with his only points coming after his race victory in Melbourne, Australia. Sergio Perez and Esteban Ocon are forming a really formidable partnership at Force India, really exceeding expectations so far this season. 18 and 16 points after the first 4 rounds. I think Force India would honestly chop your hand off if you offered them that right at the very start of the season. So they can be very, very impressed with their efforts so far. And Daniel Ricciardo with no points since Bahrain. His only points coming in Bahrain. Verstappen's only points coming in Australia. Red Bull need to really, get some luck. They don't need to get that act together, because as proven in China in the qualifying session, Red Bull do have the pace, but it's just not getting the luck, getting the rub of the green in the races themselves. Obviously today was just an unfortunate incident, but Red Bull will obviously come back strong as usual in the European part of the season. So in the Constructors' Championship, Mercedes do have a lead of 113 points. Not much movement in the Constructors' Championship overall, just Williams elevating themselves ahead of McLaren Honda, who obviously did not score any points today. Force India really minimising that gap between themselves and the Milton Keynes-based team in the form of Red Bull Racing. Force India performing impressively well, really strong showing from them so far this season. And now Toro Rosso also moving themselves up into 7th at the expense of the Haas F1 team. Toro Rosso getting off the mark today. Obviously unfortunate for Kvyat in the end not to get more at his home race, and Sainz with a very impressive final lap display to secure 8th place today. But anyway guys, that's about it for today's video. If you can, leave a like on the video and hit the target of 80 likes. That would be very much appreciated. Leave your thoughts and comments down below. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and I will see you next time for the start of the European season with the Spanish Grand Prix. I'll see you then. Bye bye.